everybody, this is Tesla and I'm here in my garage for the initial series of Scouting Made Simple. In this first installment, we're going to look at firing your weapon while you are spotting. I know, there's a lot of you out there that say, that's a no-no, you're not supposed to do that. Bullshit, yes you are. If you can spot and fire your gun, you're way more beneficial to your team than if you're just sitting there in a bush not firing. Now granted, there are some times where you have the primo location out there and you simply don't have a way to, or you don't want to, fire your gun while you're spotting because your teammates are pounding on your spots. And if you fire, you're going to expose yourself. But there's a lot of times where you end up in a situation where if you can fire your gun, you're going to be a lot more of a benefit to your team. So we're going to look at how you can safely fire your gun while you're spotting and not be seen. I'm going to use a couple little cheap graphic techniques to help illustrate my point. So when you see the red tank, it's the enemy. Green tank is you. You're the friendly. If the tank is full color like this enemy tank, that means it's visible. If you're full color, you're visible. If you see a silhouette of the enemy tank, just like when you're actually out playing, you see the red outline, that means it's normally invisible, but you're seeing it either because you spotted it or somebody else is spotting it and you're looking through some kind of environmental concealment. So you just see the outline of the tank. If you are somewhat faded out, you're invisible to the enemy. If the enemy is somewhat faded out, he's invisible to you. Okay, and you'll see what I mean as we get going here. So in the standard situation, this is how the average person spots, and usually, sadly, how they fire at the enemy. It works, not very effectively or efficiently, because you set up in a bush, you're invisible to the enemy, you can see the enemy big as day, bright as day. But when you fire, you become visible. You fire, the bush loses its concealment value, you become visible, and now either you move or somebody shoots back at you. It works. You got off one shot. Not very effective if you want to get off more than one shot because now you're exposed to enemy fire. So the times you would do this is maybe that tank is far enough away that he's not going to spot you. Doesn't mean somebody else won't. Maybe he's proceeding to run right at you, and in a couple more meters he's going to have you proxy spotted. You're going to be visible anyway. Hey, why not get a shot off? Doesn't hurt. Maybe it's a really crucial tank for the enemy team, and he's hurt so bad that you can get the kill shot in it. And he's backing up and he's about to go out of sight. You fire that shot, get the kill, and then run. There's certain times where it makes sense to do it. Most scouts, however, just do this as their modus operandi standard. It's how they always do it, and they end up getting shot a lot because of it. There's a better way to do it. So here's the advanced way to shoot while you're spotting. This is how good players do it. Just a caveat though, there's the even better way coming up. So we have the same basic setup in line 1. Same bush, same enemy, you're invisible, he's not. Before you fire, back up until the bush becomes opaque. And in the next line I'll give you a little example of what I mean. On the left hand side, this is how it looked when you were up in the bush. The bush is translucent. You can see through it and you see the enemy tank just like the bush wasn't there. You back up until the bush becomes opaque and the enemy tank turns into the red outline. Everybody talks about 15 meters, get back 15 meters. I don't think anybody has a ruler out there to tell you, or a tape measure that tells you when you're 15 meters from the front of the bush. Different bushes have different camo values anyway. It's not always 15. The easy way to do it, the way everybody does it in reality, is they back up till the bush becomes opaque and the enemy becomes an outline. At that point, you've backed up far enough you can fire and that tank won't see you. But remember, you're back beyond the tank, beyond the bush. Make certain no other enemy can see you either. Because just because the bush is going to conceal you from your target, it may not conceal you from an enemy that's off to the side somewhere. So maintain situational awareness. Know when you can get away with it and when you can't. But now in line 3, you see, you fire, you remain invisible. If you have a fast enough reload, you can fire 2-3 times. Really fast reload, maybe more. But at some point, as you can see in line 4, the enemy tank becomes invisible because you can't see through the bush in the way. So then you have to move forward, back up into your bush, reacquire visual on your target, and then you back up again and repeat it. Much safer than that standard method of just firing in the bush. You get to fire multiple times at the enemy, and you're not seen. When he goes invisible, you simply pull back up in the bush, find him again, back up, do it again. Much more efficient. You get to fire more often. You don't have to worry about evading the enemy. But at the same time, it's not the best possible way. The best possible way is called double or triple bushing, and that's what expert players use whenever they can. All these techniques, you can't do it all the time, but you put yourself in a situation to do it as often as possible, and I guarantee you, you're going to see your damage per game go up, probably your kills per game go up, your win rate go up. So here's the third way. It's called double bushing, sometimes triple bushing. And what you've done is you set yourself up to where you have a second bush or a third bush in between you and the tank you're going to shoot at. Sometimes it's because you were spotting the enemy tank and as you pulled into that first bush. Other times it's because somebody else was spotting the enemy tank and you pull into a bush with another bush in between so that you gain concealment as much as possible from other enemy tanks that are out there. Either way, when you fire, that middle bush prevents you from being seen. Huge advantage for you. You don't have to move. As fast as your loader can load another round, you can fire. It is the most efficient and effective way of firing at the enemy. You maximize your DPM this way. There may be times where, especially if somebody else was spotting and you were using their spots and they move to where the enemy tank goes invisible and you're going to have to move to the left or the right, reacquire the target, and then fire at him again. So basically you're back to the advanced spotting and shooting. But as long as you have somebody providing the eyes for you on that target, you can sit there and unload on them and you rack up lots of damage fast. I guarantee you every excellent player out there knows about this and tries to put themselves in a situation where they can take advantage of it if the scenario is right on the map to do it. Sometimes it's just not going to work. But whenever you can put yourself in a situation like this to where you can fire as fast as you can reload and you have zero chance of being seen, do it. Now, as long as that bush in the middle is opaque, it doesn't matter if there's one or two. It doesn't matter if it's close to you, close to them. As long as it's opaque and all you're seeing is the outline of the enemy tank, guess what? You're invisible to them. Fire away as long as there aren't any other enemy tanks off to the side of your flanks or behind you that can see you when you shoot. Always be aware of the minimap. Doesn't matter whether it's close, far, 1, 2, 3 bushes. If they're an outline to you, they can't see you when you fire. So take advantage of it. Now, here's the cool thing. It's not just bushes. Trees work too. If you can put yourself, because of elevation changes, and I show you two different examples here, if you can get yourself in a situation to where there's the foliage of a tree in between you and the enemy tank, and that red outline appears, guess what? You're invisible to them. Fire! They can't see you. If you lose your target and you're far enough away where they won't see you unless you fire, just move to the side a couple meters, reacquire the target, move back behind the tree, fire away. Little tricks like this are what keep you alive. They are what let you take, instead of only getting one shot off and having to move, getting 3 or 4 shots until you kill the guy and have to go find another target. Massive increase to your damage per game, to your kills, and to your win rate if you learn just little simple things like this. Many times the difference between an average player and a great player is a couple little tricks that the average players never thought of or never mastered. You start putting little tricks like this end to end, and you have a trick for shooting without being seen, and you have a trick for moving without being seen, and you have a trick for this and trick for that. Pretty soon you're not average anymore. People start noticing, hey, you're doing really good. Keep it going, and all of a sudden you've moved way up the pecking order in skill. It's a bunch of little things put together that take you from being new, from being average, to being good, to being great. And this is one of the building blocks that you use. Beyond basic spotting and shooting, you have the advanced, where you back up, make the enemy translucent, or make him an outline, then fire until you have to move back up in the bush to gain his target again. Then even better than that, getting 2 bushes in between you, or a bush way out in the middle to where the enemy is just an outline, and you just sit there and fire until the situation warrants that you move. Scouting made simple. Little tricks, great results. From my garage, happy hunting.